And welcome to Groundings with Brother Shamari. And for those who are frequent listeners to the show, you might already be aware of the fact that I am not Brother Shamari. I am Nathaniel Lee, and I am sitting here as guest host for this show, for this segment of Groundings. And also I am here with my guest co-host, and that's Brother Oba Sankofa, and Brother Shamari assigned him to keep watch over me so I just don't mess things up. And instead, Brother Oba, how are you?
Oh, peace and love, Brother Nathaniel. Again, let me introduce myself. My name is Brother Oba Sankofa, the lyrical soldier, the man of the hour, drifting black power. When I die, they'll put me on the first black dollar. Holla, it is an honor and a privilege to be here alongside of you, Brother Nathaniel. We're going to hold it down for Brother Shamari as we always do. He put us up here to show out and show love for the people out there. So here we are, and let's get to it.
And the honor is mutual. It is mutual, Brother Oba Sankofa. And our esteemed producer, I'd like to thank you for what you do. And look, we always begin with, Brother Shamari always begin with story time on his Sunday segment. So we have our story time guest, and I'm going to let you introduce yourself and continue doing what you do. You're on mute.
You're on mute. You have to unmute your line.
Okay, and she's working it out. Okay, there we go.
There we go. One love, one heart. Let's get together. We'll be all right. Don't you hear the children crying? One love, one heart. Let's get together and we'll be all right. Let's pray the Lord and we'll be all right. I'm storytelling Irma. I'm the daughter of Daddy Do-Right, and Daddy Do-Right is the brother of Pop Grow Something. And you see me sitting under this flag today, our red, black, and green. That One Love by Bob Marley and Curtis Mayfield was inspired by the Honorable Marcus Messiah Garvey. And I'm going to tell you what Daddy Do-Right told me about him today. You know, Daddy Do-Right was always, he was a country daddy. He was the brother that lived down on the eastern shore of Maryland. And Daddy and Pop Grow Something was up here in the north. But they were brothers and they did things alike. And Daddy Do-Right was always telling us, you know, straighten up, act like you got some sense. Walk down the street with your head up high and don't have them pants sagging, because, you know, you got to do right. And we got to have racial pride, you know. And in Black August, we remember Marcus Garvey for that. He was born in August 17th. He's having a birthday. That's why I thought about him having a birthday on the 17th. He was born in 1887. And he was all about Black pride. And that's one of the reasons why we have that flag. He wanted to improve things. He said, show me a nation or people without a flag, and I'll show you a nation or people without pride. So he was always about pride. It was instilled in him since he was a boy. Now, he was born in Jamaica, and his father had been a slave, but he was a free man, and he was working, and he was like one of the middle-class people. So Marcus Garvey didn't grow up really poor. He grew up kind of privileged. But his father used to work on making grave signs and making all kinds of programs for funerals and things like that. And one day he took Marcus with him as a boy. And he went down in the grave, and Marcus went down there with him. And when his father went up, he pulled the ladder up behind him and left Marcus down there and went away. And Marcus learned a lesson from that. He was there in the grave by himself, a little boy, and he just knew from that day on that you couldn't depend on anybody else but yourself. You couldn't depend on anybody else but yourself. So he learned that from an early age. And when he grew up, he was always into books and reading and daydreaming, you know. Now where he lived in St. Anne's Bay, they didn't know very much about colorism, racism, all that. And he had a best friend, a little girl that he played with, and she was a little white girl. And he could play with her, and they had fun. They were close up until they got to be teenagers. And that's when he first learned about racism, because her father told her, "You can't play with him anymore. I don't want you to ever see him again. He's a nigger." And he didn't know anything about that. And so, you know, he grew up, that was his first encounter. But it wasn't his last. And he did something about that. Like, he left school in St. Anne's, and he became a printer. He took an apprenticeship under his uncle. And he became a good printer. As a matter of fact, he had started writing his own newspaper at an early age. He had a newspaper. And he used to imagine himself talking to great groups of people. Y'all have to be quiet over there. Yeah, and I'm sorry. He imagined himself talking to great groups of people and being the king of everything and being on top of things, you know. And later on in life, I can't tell you everything about him because he had a long and wonderful life. So later on in life, he started seeing things and wanted to improve things and to better his people. Because he said, you know, I'm as good as any man. You know, why would they call him that name? He's as good as any man, and he was going to prove that. So that he had the idea at an early age to start the UNIA, Universal Negro Improvement Association, in Jamaica, but it didn't work. I mean, he worked hard to get it together and had some followings, but it failed for him. He had a girl, his first wife. He hadn't married her yet, and she was behind him because, you know, behind every great man there's a woman, especially before he gets great, you know. So to make a long story not short, but a little shorter, he had to leave. Her name was Amy. He had two wives named Amy, but this first Amy, he had to leave her behind. They weren't married yet. And he said, well, I'm going to go to America. Because he had been reading about what was going on there. And when he got to Harlem, Harlem was buzzing. He saw black people doing all kinds of things and buzzing around. But what he didn't see was any unity among black people. And he thought, well, this would be a good place for me to start, you know, with my people and try to get some unity here. So he met J. Philip Randolph, and J. Philip Randolph gave him his first opportunity to make a speech. And he imagined it just like he did when he was at home in Jamaica, you know, playing as a kid. Well, you know, Garvey was a great speech maker, but that first speech was not great. He got in front of the people and he actually was so nervous and his voice was shaking and he was frozen. As a matter of fact, he fell off the stage. Yes, he fell off the stage. So that was not good. So he didn't try that for a while. But then during those days, there was this evangelist, white evangelist, Billy Sunday. And he went to Billy Sunday's sessions and he studied him. And Billy Sunday was he was an athletic kind of speech maker. He would use his hands and he would, you know, have his voice loud, and he would have the people right in the palm of his hands. So the next time when Marcus went to make a speech, he was fantastic. The man who fell off the stage at first, he had that audience in his hand. One woman said, like, when Marcus made a speech, it was like she was talking herself. And she said that he spoke for everybody. And what he spoke about was unity. He said an organization. All the black man didn't have was unity and organization. And that's what he started to try to instill in black people. And when he spoke, crowds would come. And he would instill that black pride and talk about unity. He was also known for his great parades. People in Harlem would come to the front of their brick houses, and they friends, family, foreigners come just to see him walk down that street. And you know, one of the things about Garvey was, you've seen him in his all his garb and everything, and all that majesticism. He introduced those uniforms. And when the black people put on those uniforms and marched down the street, you couldn't tell them nothing. That was the pride. People put on that uniform and they became Garveyites. Now, I've got another part of this story to tell, but I'm looking at the time. I know I'm only supposed to have 15 minutes, but I will have 15 minutes at the end, and I'll tell you a little bit more. But we need to tune into this Black August and know that Garvey is a big part of it, and we can't forget him. That's how we have to paint August black, and not celebrate, but remember the pride in Black August, because we stand on the backs of some very, very strong black people. I'll tell you some more at 7:45. Thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Thank you again for that story. But before you go, I would like to ask you, I have one request to ask you. Let me see your guitar.
You know, I started to stand up. I said, no, I'm not real good at this Zoom stuff. And so it's just a little, can you see it?
I can. I can see the top of it, yes.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thank
I love that.
And see, it's red too, for my red, black, and green.
Absolutely. Well, Sister Vanessa, thank you so much, and we will see you again for another story at 7:45.
Right. Okay.
All right. And thank
awesome.
you.
Thank you.
And so at 6:25, we do have the spirit of the drum. But in the meantime, brother Obas and Kofa, look, we would like to invite. This is, I guess we discussed this prior to the show, and we discussed an open forum. But there's a couple of discussions, a couple of subjects we wanted to discuss and ask our listeners and our viewers, because we're also on Facebook Live and other WURD TV. But we had a couple of subjects we'd like to broach for our listeners. So you have one subject in particular you were very interested in, Brother Oba, and what was that?
So thank you so much. The subject that I think we need to ask everybody out there and the listeners is for the collective consciousness and what we need to do as people to remain free and remain in the frequency of freedom. Because what you do frequently becomes your frequency. And so for everybody out there, what are you all participating in? How can we tap in to that freedom frequency, and how can we get involved with more of those things? Just like with Marcus Garvey, how can we tap into the pride of our community? Where can we tap into those things and those community events? And also, from the OG's perspective too, from the OGs, did you learn from your elders as well that you can pass down to the younger generation as well? So those are a couple things that we have going on for you all. And also for any caller that does call in, we will have some general knowledge questions for you all regarding Black inventors. So keep it locked here. Back to you.
Oh, well, wait a minute, Brother Ober. We gotta hear more about the questions about Black inventors. Just elaborate on that a little bit for me.
So, as a teacher of the 8th grade at Richard Allen out there in Southwest, we always, every year we read World Without Black People. And it's always interesting for the young people to see how so many different artifacts and still things that we use today that were invented by us. And so they're very surprised by that. And so we're going to be asking from when callers call in, what do you know about which inventions were invented by us from back in the day to up to today as well?
You heard that, listeners. You heard that. So when you call in, and we're going to give you the call-in number, 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065. And Brother Oba said, you can call toll-free as well. Am I correct? And that number is 866-361-0900. That's 866-361-0900. Toll free. And when you call in to chime in and give your input on Brother Sankofa's subject, you can also get one of those questions about great African inventors. But also, there's another subject I had on in mind as well. And you can chime in on any one of those subjects or raise your own, time permitting. But I wanted to ask us, in light of the violence, in light of the carnage on our streets, with people talking about, officials talking about, debating the subject of whether we should bring in federal troops, get assistance on our streets, and some saying no, some saying yes, the put the guns down campaigns, the blight in our communities, which so many things impacting our communities that they're too numerous to mention. And we cover one important aspect all the time, and that's with the origins of our problems, which is white supremacy, oppression, enslavement. These things are so violent, and we need to, and I'm not suggesting that we ever stop talking about it. I'm saying we let no one ever forget, let them not forget, and let us not forget. But I want to pose a question from a different view. I want to pose a different, not from a them, but from an us perspective. How much of this now, what's going on today, is us? How much is on us? How much of the blight in our communities is on us? How much of the crime in our communities and the responsibility to resolve it, how much of that is on us? Now, when you chime in on that question, I want you to assume, if you call in, just assume that we understand white supremacy, understand that we understand the history of racism. I want you to assume when you call in that we understand about systemic injustice, which is very real. So I want you to assume that, because I don't want to go back into that. I want us to now go from for us, by us, not what's being done to us, but what is being done by us. So when you look at those issues, how much of these things that we're experiencing today are on us, not on them, on us, and what can we do about them, if anything? So you have two issues on the floor. That's 215-634-8060. 8065. And we also have toll free 866-361-0900. But I do believe that we have coming up the spirit of the drum with Brother Wyset. Brother Wyset on the line. Okay, well, while we're waiting for Brother Wyset, producer, please let us know when Brother Wyset is on the line. But Brother Oba, let me ask you a question. How much is on us when we talk about crime, when we talk about violence, when we talk about these things? How much is on us? And it's time for a break. We're going to take a break, and I just want you to think about that. We're going to take a break. Word listeners, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Hi, this is John.
Hi, this is Juanita, owners of JD's Auto Body and Painting. We're located at 6300 Wayne Avenue, right there at the intersection of Wayne and Washington Lane.
We really like to thank all you WURD listeners for the support that you've given our business, and we really hope to see you in the future.
JD, tell them about our products and services we have.
We have a new state-of-the-art paint shop along with our body shop and detail shop. We can help you with the dents and scratches from the winter season.
Come to JD's Auto Body and Painting. Come on out and check us out. We're still still honoring that WURD 10% discount, give us a call, 215-848-5949. Again, 215-848-5949.
Thanks again for supporting our business. We really appreciate you.
See you at JD's Auto Body and Painting.
WURD Radio Digital Tip of the Month with Stephanie Humphrey. Brought to you by Comcast.
You might be enjoying the hot days of summer, but your smartphone probably isn't. Hotter temperatures can potentially damage your phone, so here are some things you can do to keep it cool. Don't leave your phone in direct sunlight or locked in a car if possible. And if you don't absolutely need it, ditch the smartphone case too. That can easily trap heat. Change the settings to lower the brightness, turn off data, put your phone in airplane mode, or try to do less high-powered activities like gaming. If you do notice your smartphone overheating, turn it off and take out the battery if you can. And don't try to cool it down by putting it in a refrigerator or freezer. Just keep your phone in a cool area for a while until it returns to room temperature. Stay cool, stay tuned to WURD for more tips, and stay connected with us at wordradio.com.
What is dedication?
The thing that drives me every day as a dad is Dariana. We call him Day Day for short. Every day he's hungry for something, whether it's attention, affection, knowledge. And there's this huge responsibility in making sure that when he's no longer under my wing, that he's a good person. I want him to be able to sit back one day and go, we worked together, we did a good job.
That's dedication. Find out more at fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings with Brother Shamari. And Brother Shamari is not in, and I am sitting in as his guest today. And I am also sitting in with another guest, Brother Obasan Kofa, who's been kicking it here with me, and I'm enjoying his company immensely. So thank you, Brother Oba. And we ended before we took our break with a question, and we was asking about some of the conditions in our community, some of the things that we are experiencing, the negative things, the negative impacts of our community. And I wanted to speak about it from a different perspective. And I was saying, for those of you who are just tuning in, how much of it is on us, not the politicians, not the white supremacy, not, because we understand those things and we have to continue. I want to make sure that I say it this way, because people will say, oh, you're trying to overlook what happened to us in our history. No. I'm trying to say that, look, we understand what happened. We understand we're not responsible for the fall. We understand we're not responsible for the creation of the issues, but we may not be responsible for the fall, but we're responsible for getting back up. We may not be responsible for the conditions that we're in, but we are responsible for resolving those issues, because those who put us in this situation are not likely to get us out of it. So, Brother Wasset, I'm going to ask you, I said Brother Wasset. I'm waiting for Brother Wasset to call. Brother Wasset, if you're out there, call on in. As you can see, you are on our minds. So, Brother Wasset, whenever you call in, we got the lines open for you. But Brother Oba, how much of this is on us? What's your opinion?
So first and foremost, I like to challenge, our people and say that even though it was done to us, things can't be done to you without your consent. And that's the thing I always like to tell our people, and also our children as well. We're in this situation because, whether consciously or unconsciously, we put ourselves in this situation, because no one can force you to do something that you really don't want to do. If you want to be free, you'll fight until your last breath to be free. So in my opinion, I believe at this point most of it is on us. We have, in my opinion, all of the information from our scholars and our past master teachers, the information that they left, the gems that they dropped, the jewels that they dropped, the books that they left us. They gave us so many blueprints to succeed that at this point, our success hinges upon our unity, like the storyteller said, and just organizing and putting that into action. We've had so many different leaders and so many different messiahs come back and show us the way for thousands of years. And so it becomes part of the populace to actually unify more so than just search for specific leaders. We all have different community ideas, and they're somewhat segregated. And I think if we all started to convene and have our own separate League of Nations, whether it be Christians and Muslims and conscious healers and spirituality come together under one banner, under one flag, then I believe we can get things done. Or whether it be even people who believe that politicians work, or people that don't believe that politicians work, whatever it is, we all need to come together from our different sects and realize that our power really lies within us, and nobody else can stop that. So once we realize that power that we have, then things will change. So in my opinion, you know, the power is always in us, and it always has been. We can literally be free overnight if we so choose to be. And so the issue that I believe that we have is we don't believe that. And so once we actually start believing that, because unfortunately, you know, we see poverty every day. We don't see us being kings and queens. We can say, oh, we're kings and queens. We've been, you know, doctors, lawyers. We've been the beginners and the start of the civilization. But when you actually look what you outside, you don't see that. And people, you know, only can really go off of what they see. So we have to start to manifest and bring into, step into our power and transform into exactly what we want to see. And then that'll follow along to what we want to be.
And Brother Oba, I knew when I introduced this topic, because usually in my private conversations with people, usually organizers, revolutionaries, people who are intellectuals and write about the subject, one thing I know is when I start talking about personal responsibility, collective responsibility, I am going to get beat up. I'm going to get into a battle. And I always say, we don't like that. And this, when I say we, I don't just say we as Black people. People don't like that personal accountability thing. Right. You know, they don't like that. They don't like that, especially when you are historically oppressed, and that historical oppression is real. You know, we're not making that up. We're not making enslavement and the systemic oppression that kept us where we are. We're not making that up. But it seems when you start talking about our responsibility to break the change, you're going to come and you're going to get some backlash from your own people. And so why is that? Why is it that we don't like that topic when we say we could talk about our oppressors all day long, but the responsibility of oppressed brings such ire? Why do you think that is?
To me, it really starts with trauma, and the trauma that we face from being oppressed, that we feel desperate, we feel hopeless, we feel like there's no way out, and that it has to be done from the oppressor to let free the change. We personally have been traumatized so deeply that we feel like the only way we can ever repair ourselves is through reparations, or is through the oppressor giving us something to make us free, or an emancipation proclamation, or whatever it is. We feel that it has to be the other person or the other entity before we can actually do it ourselves. And so that kind of inhibits our behavior. And the traumas have been so deep that whenever you do try to say, you know, some of it is on us, it's tough for that to be communicated, because even in I'll even say even in our families, even in my family, it's tough, even if it's not just about oppression, even if it's just about the personal responsibility of being a righteous family person. It's just tough for that to be communicated when for generations and generations and generations, none of that has happened. And so it's in the DNA to rebel against that type of thinking. And so again, it's tough to break those mental chains that we're in, but again, it starts with, am I walking in that? You know, and then do I inspire others to walk in that? And that's how it has to come about. And it's tough. It really is tough. And I believe that that's really the singular, one of the biggest issues is our personal responsibility to come up out of that thinking. But the traumas are so deep because every family has been impacted differently. And if we begin to work within first our families and then model that for other families, then I believe we can actually drive to success in our.
Did y'all just hear that young man? He's kicking it out there. He's kicking it. That was pretty deep. Look, and if you're sitting there, you're listening to Brother Oba Sankofa or Nathaniel Lee, and you're like, oh, I got something I want to say. I got something I want to say. You can tune in. 215-634-8065, 215-634-8065, or toll free 866-361-0900, 866-361-0909. And I just want to hear your views. If you're just tuning in, I am Nathaniel Lee, and this is Oba Sankofa, and we're sitting in for Brother Shamari, who is absent today, and we are pleased to sit here and to occupy the space until he returns. And we're just talking about some subjects. We just want you to chime in, and we were asking the question, you know, how much of what we are experiencing as a people, and we're talking about the negative things such as blight, poor living conditions, violence, how much of it is on us? And I ask when you call in, if you call in, let's not talk about what they did, because that is violent. I don't want to take that away, but I just want to focus on us, for us, by us. So when you call in, let's talk about that. And also, there are some questions Brother Oba is going to ask you, and explain that one more time, Brother Oba. When people call in, you're going to ask them some questions. Tell us about those questions.
So, correct. So when you do call in and give us your piece, speak your piece, at the end, I will ask you a general knowledge question just regarding Black inventors, Black male and female inventors, because we have both. And wanted to just ask if you know any of them, from who invented the ironing board to who invented the stoplight. And I'm not going to say any more to give them away, but I just some similar things along those lines, so that way we can gauge, you know, how much we know about our own history, so that way we can continue to march towards a future that is for us and by us.
And do not Google it. Do not Google it. Because you know what they're going to do, right, Brother Oba? They're going to go on Google. They're going to start Googling stuff. But look, there is no punishment. There is no demerits if you don't know the answer. Everybody's a winner here, because you're going to go away learning something you didn't know if you don't know the answer. And if you do know the answer, you're going to end up sharing it and teaching somebody else who didn't. So don't be intimidated to call in, ask a question, get it right. You don't have. Please don't Google it. Please don't Google it. But Brother Oba, the question that you had. Wait, we have a caller on the line. We have Eric. Eric, he wants to chime in. Eric, are you there?
What's up, New Orleans?
Yeah, God bless you. How you doing?
And God bless you, my brother. How are you?
All right. Yeah, one day in terms of self-responsibility, and I think I agree with what the young brother just stated, and I just wanted to add on that I think part of us, you all have definitely mentioned, our history. My favorite definition of history, history allows us to know what we do based on what our ancestors have done. So if our ancestors have achieved certain level of excellence and certain feats, that lets us know that we can do it also. So if I know, for example, that they were dealing with electricity in pyramids, that lets us know that, we can be adroit and excellent in dealing with electricity and producing our own electricity also, because our ancestors dealt with electricity when they were working with the pyramids, And then say if I bring it up to the, 20th century, we own 3-story department stores. S.B. Fuller, matter of fact, he was a brother in Chicago. He owned a 3-story, 100,000 square foot department store. A lot of times we don't know that we've actually owned department stores that sold washing machines, clothing, paint, whatever you needed in Chicago in the early 1900s. You can get it from Brother S.B. Fuller. I think it was called South Central Department Store. But again, it was a 3-story building, 100,000 square feet. But that lets us know that we can provide our own stores. We can manufacture what we need to make. In Africa, for example, in Ghana and also Nigeria, they're actually not just assembling cars, but they're manufacturing cars, making their own cars, and not making cars for Honda or Nissan, but they're building their own cars. One brand is called Inasan, and another is called Kantanka. And I think Kantanka is out of Nigeria, and I think Inosan is based out of Ghana. And then if we look at in the early 1900s, late 1900s, late 19, I'm getting my dates mixed, but early 1900s, yes. Patterson Greenfield was a brother out of Ohio. He actually manufactured a car also, and they competed with Ford manufacturing cars. And Patterson Greenfield, they put the first buses on the streets of Cincinnati, and that's the Patterson Greenfield Company. and they went out of business due to the depression. The depression got them, unfortunately, because, you know, black businesses typically don't have the kind of financing to uphold to some hard times. But again, we made buses and put the buses on the streets of Cincinnati. So once we know what our ancestors have done, that lets us know that we can do the same thing, whether it's making cars or producing or making our own department stores or electricity. Then we will accomplish those things. And I think once we accomplish those things, then we can gain that sense of pride and self-satisfaction from producing our own products, producing our own needs and goods. But when you don't produce your own, you don't get that sense of gratification and self-satisfaction. You don't experience that because you haven't done it yet. But I think
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, Brother Eric, first of all, I want you to know that I agree with everything you say. You teaching, brother. You teaching, so thank you for that. But you may have stolen, gave answers to like a dozen of Brother Oba's questions.
Sorry.
But that's all right. So if y'all was listening to Brother Eric, you might actually have some of the answers to the questions Brother Oba's going to answer, was going to ask you. But Brother Oba, I'm sorry I interrupted.
All I was going to say to Brother Eric was, again, thank you for your call. And also, what you raised a very poignant point is that a lot of what we do also isn't reported or, you know, get told to us by us as well, or even through any of the oppressors' media or means. Because you're right, you know, as we've done with so much with the inventions and, like you said, with the car manufacturing, we have done so much. We have produced for ourselves. It's just that the medium where it's produced either from Africa to America, you know, it's just not translated and we're not getting that information. And so a lot of things fall off and a lot of black businesses fall off because of that. And so we made a great point that we have to big up and start to put those things that we have been doing out in the forefront so we can get it. But before we go to break, I will ask you this quick question. If you're ready for a general knowledge question, let me know.
And can we get that question after the break? We're going to take a quick break. And Brother Eric, if you can hold on, we got a question for you. So don't hang up, Word family. We're going to take a break and we will be right back with Groundings.
More than joint replacement, it's total joint care. Einstein Orthopedics offers minimally invasive, same-day procedures like anterior hip replacement and knee replacement surgery. Our board-certified surgeons and dedicated team will give you personalized care every step of the way. From your first appointment to surgery to post-procedure follow-up care, Einstein Orthopedics offers everything you need to get moving again. Visit einstein.edu/totaljoint to learn more.
The Black Words Book Club.
WURD Radio's conversation on books that explore the African American experience through social, economic, and environmental justice issues. Tune in the second Tuesday of every month on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro, 4 p.m. till 7 p.m. The Black Words book for September is Race Against Time, The Politics of a Darkening America by Keith Boykin. Be sure to listen live as Nick Taliaferro will hold a contest for a giveaway book bundle that consists of 4 titles from Kensington's Defina's Authors of Color's newest release. Don't miss it, Tuesday, September 14th on Evening Words with Nick Taliaferro. Attention for WURD members. Get your copy and receive a 20% discount when you purchase at Harriet's Bookstore or Hakeem's Bookstore. For more information on the Black Words Book Club, visit wordradio.com. The Black Words Book Club is sponsored by Defina. Defina is an imprint of Kensington Publishing Corporation, America's independent publisher, concentrating on authors of color.
Are you looking to hire diverse talent? WURD has got you covered. We just launched a brand new job portal to help connect you with diverse talent in Philadelphia and beyond. If you would like to have your jobs featured on our job portal, give us a call at 215-425-7875 or send us an email at sales@wordradio.com. Check out the job portal today on our livelihood website at wordworks.com. That's WURDworks.com and click jobs.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings. And I am Nathaniel Lee sitting in with Brother Oba Sankofa, and Brother Shamari is out, and we are his guest today. We are his guest host. And so just before we left, we had Brother Eric from New Orleans. He was dropping all kinds of knowledge and all kinds of facts about our people and what they've been doing. And Brother Oba was just about to ask him a question of his own. So, Brother Eric, Brother Oba, can you ask Brother Eric that question?
Yeah, Brother Eric, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here, sir.
Okay, cool. So, the ironing board. Who invented? What young lady invented the ironing board?
Oh yeah, I just heard that a couple weeks ago, but I just definitely don't remember her name. So.
All right, cool. Well, it was actually Sarah Boone was the one who invented the ironing board. Yep.
All right.
Thank you for participating.
Well, Brother Eric, thank you. We appreciate it, and for all of the knowledge you dropped as well. So thank you very much, my brother, and you be blessed.
One more thing for the black ladies. The first lady to start a bank was Maggie L. Walker.
Maggie L. Walker.
She's the first lady to start a bank. White, black, Asian, Hispanic, Arab, you name it. That was Maggie L. Walker. She started the first bank. She was the first woman to start a bank. And that was in Richmond, Virginia, in the early 1900s. So for our ladies, I didn't want to leave them out. So.
Well, we appreciate you, brother. Thank you very much. And before we go to our next guest, Joseph in Massachusetts, Joseph, hold on. I wanted to make a correction because we have Storytelling Irma was the name. We said she had the wrong name on the screen. That was an error. So it wasn't Vanessa Stay. It's Storytelling Irma. Again, it's Storytelling Irma. And she is going to be back with us later in the show. So if you're listening to the show and you love the work of this griot, or if you love the work of griots all over the world, you're going to want to stay here and listen to Storytelling Irma again at, I believe it's 7:45. But right now we have Joseph from Massachusetts on the line. Brother Joseph, are you there?
Hello?
Hello, Brother Joseph.
Yeah, you know what? We need honesty. And the way you get honesty is to bring back our black atheist leader. We don't have no black atheist leader. When you're atheist, you tend to look for the truth. You tend to deal with facts. You tend to be fair. You tend to be honest. You tend to treat people with respect. Let's break down real quick how many atheist leaders that we had. Langston Hughes, the poet, he was atheist. Richard Wright, poet, activist, atheist. James Baldwin, atheist. Claude McKay, atheist. Richard B. Moore, he was an atheist. W. Du Bois, he was an atheist. And a lot of the other people might have been atheists, but because they don't want to offend people. I'm not going to speak for them because they're not around, like a Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, Paul Robeson. They never preach religion. When you preach religion, you tend to be isolated. You talk about coming together under who umbrella? The Christian umbrella, Islamic umbrella, Buddhist umbrella, Hindu umbrella. That's where the problem is, and the white man know that. You talk about we need to take our own responsibility. The white man have a way of sabotaging you. Whenever you try to make progress, try to do things, he'll sabotage you. He'll use your own kind to destroy you. Marcus Garvey, his own trusted man, destroyed him for the Justice Department. Malcolm X, his own Islamic brother, killed him. How far we want to go? Take Bayard Rustin. He was a gay atheist and a communist. You can look at my YouTube video, Radical View, one word, right? The Radical View. You'll see what we need to do. We ain't going nowhere because the white man know what he's doing. He put all religious people to speak for black people, and he doesn't speak for everybody. Can I make one other quick point?
You sure can.
Yeah, when I think Ward, not Ward, I want to say Benjamin Ward, he was up for the NAACP, 10th president of the NAACP. What they did to him, the Zionist Jews went after the NAACP, said don't want him because he supported Farrakhan. And Farrakhan had anti-Semitic views, so they say. But yet, 13% of Americans belong to the Nation of Islam at that peak of it. But most black people is Christian in America. The Zionist Jews know that. So they put a rift between the Nation of Islam and the Christian black community. How beautiful would it be for black people to come together with the Nation of Islam and the black community? Like Bayard Rustin, he single-handedly orchestrated the 1964 march in Washington, D.C. He was an atheist, communist, and gay. And he worked with A. Philip Randolph, a socialist. Where's our socialists? Where's our communists? It's clearly the problem with why black people are not doing good is right in front of us. But we can't speak, because every time you speak and you have a good idea, they're going to come after you. Have a nice day. Thanks for taking my call.
And you are so welcome, Brother Joseph. And I listen to your call. I listen to you quite often. You're a frequent caller on WURD Radio. And hey, look, I may not always agree with some of your comments, but I can say this: you are definitely not afraid to make them, and we appreciate you expressing your thoughts. And that's what we need. We need a free exchange of expression. You know, we always talk about free exchange of expression, freedom of expression, until somebody says something we disagree with. So, Brother Joseph, thank you very much for your input. Brother Oba, I'm just realizing that we are at your OGYG Freedom Forum, and we stepped over the line. Can you?
Never. Everything, every time in this divine timing, man. It's all love. But I will say that it is time for the OGYG Freedom Forum, and without further ado, the way we always start is just to venerate our ancestors. So I would love to give a shout out to LZ and Ruth Bird, my grandparents who made the transition, and then also Charles and Irene on my father's side who made the transition as well, and also big up my parents who are still living, Oba and Eda Mwan, for giving me the purpose in my life to do what I need to do to carry out the mission to liberation for our people. And joining me, I have the brother, the good brother, the YG, the man who always uplifts the people when he comes on to the air. Brother Casil Huggins, man. What's up, man? Talk to the people. You're on mute. You're on mute. You got to unmute your line.
Excuse me.
There you go.
I appreciate the love. And how y'all doing? And,
how are you doing, my brother?
I am blessed, and I'm honored to be in the presence of my elders. So I'm definitely here to get on with this segment. Let's see how this thing goes, dude.
Let's get it. Let's go. We were talking on Friday before our segment closed about family and the family dynamic and how it's crucial for us to get to liberation, how crucial the family dynamic is. Because again, when I was teaching, 1 out of 10 individuals who I was teaching last Tuesday only one had both parents in their household. Mm-hmm. 90% of our households are missing, both parents. Go ahead, Brother Nathaniel.
No, I was just going to say we're up on a break. I was trying to signal you without interrupting you, but I tell you what. Well, since I unintentionally did interrupt you, and I apologize, we're going to be right back right after this break. Don't go anywhere. We're going to be with Brother Oba and Brother Casil Huggins, and
Enterprise Exterminators, located at 4943 Wayne Avenue, has been in business since 1976 and can eliminate whatever pest problems you have. Enterprise specializes in bed bugs, lanternflies, and termites. Call for your free termite inspection today. Do-it-yourself kits are available. Enterprise Exterminators, servicing Philadelphia, Delaware, and New Jersey. Call now, 215-849-7070. Ask us about the WURD and senior discounts.
Are you a small business owner in Philadelphia or New Jersey? Are you looking for ways to grow your business but don't know where to start? You may qualify for a Job Creators Quest grant for up to $11,000. This grant supports diverse small business owners who are women, people of color, LGBTQ, military veterans, or located in a low to moderate income area. Imagine what you could do with extra funds to improve your company, hire more people, invest in marketing to promote your business, or even add technology to be more efficient. Founders First is on a mission to support diverse-led small businesses, and we are giving 20 grants to the local small business community for a total of $60,000. For more information, visit www.phillygrants.org. Again, go to www.phillygrants.org for details and to apply today. Congratulations to all job creators from Founders First.
The WURD Radio newsletter, keeping you informed, engaged, and connected. Sign up by visiting WURDradio.com. Scroll to the bottom of the page and type your email address under Connect with Us. You'll receive the latest information on WURD Radio, messages from our president and CEO, Sarah Lomax Reese, exclusive articles and multimedia content, and resources. Stay informed with the WURD Radio newsletter. Lifting every voice till earth and heaven ring. This is WURD Radio, 96.1 FM and 900 AM WURD Philadelphia. Black Talk Media. Groundings with Brother Shamari. Right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
Peace and prosperity, family. We are the OG YG Old Guardians, Young Guardians, filling in for Brother Shamari. We are the substitute teachers, so continue to have your notes out, your pens, and your pads. We are here, joined alongside Brother co-host Nathaniel Lee as well. We're here with Brother Casil Huggins as well. But we did want to take a caller. He has been holding on for quite some time, so we want to reward you for your patience. Brother Dwayne from Southwest Philly, if you're there, holler at us. We'd love to hear what you have to say. Brother Dwayne. All right, he checked out. But, Brother Casil, we're going to go back to the family structure that I was talking about us having not too many, mothers and fathers in the home, and why that leads to the destruction that Brother Joseph was talking about from Massachusetts, why it's tough for us to regain our liberation if we don't have both forces in the home. So would you want to quickly just elaborate, even if it's just from your perspective, either you've had both in the home, or if you did, share why that has led to your being so productive as a Black man.
Well, I did have both in the home. I was blessed to have that. However, the importance of having both mother and father is vital, because it's like yin and yang, perfect balance. Your masculine and your feminine, and it's so much that you learn from both ends that is vital for the young man and the young woman. The young man to take on the masculine father, and the female to take under the feminine female, and everything between that. The grandparents is just as important as the parents. The siblings is just as important as the parent would be, as well as your uncles and cousins, so on and so forth, because it's a unit. It takes a village to raise a child, but it starts at the head. You know what I mean? So it's definitely foundation. Foundation is key. But like we were saying before, what is this? Friday? Everybody has to be held accountable, and everybody's part is just as important. So word. So thank you for telling us that. And then also, if you want to call in and join us, 215-634-8065. Again, that's 215-634-8065, or toll free at 1-866-361-0900. And again, to that point that we've been talking about the families, is that's how, we were infiltrated and destroyed, is by, again, taking either one or two out the household. Because, again, if the child doesn't have the male figure or the mother figure, either way, that allows for an oppressor or from an interloper to come in and then take the place of that other energy, whether it's the masculine energy or the feminine energy. And then from there, that's where the destruction can happen, because then the child only knows the oppressor or the other interloper as the source of the energy, whether it be the divine feminine or the divine masculine. And so that's how things can get confused, and that's how the trauma can happen. And over time, as we talked about, that happened 4,500 years ago, to the fact that it still happens now with the 1 out of 10, only having both male and female energies present. That's how the cycle continues. So when we talk about earlier, where Brother Nathaniel was talking about, with whether it be the gun violence or the poverty, the family structure, that is how it all can be replaced and regained through that. If we stop having the oppressor be the power in our families and what we looked up to in our families, because the state, i.e. the oppressor, has to come in and be the father or mother if the mother or the father is not there. And so that's how we can regain our control and our power And so the OGs, I'm sure that you also would love to chime in about how maybe that impacted your generation as well, whether you had both or did not. But again, Brother Casil, Brother Nathaniel, since you are here, we definitely want to hear from you. If you are here, since you would be our OG standing in for, you know what I'm saying? So go ahead. If you do want to speak in peace, we would love to hear it.
Well, let me say now, I'm at 21. Am I still considered an OG or?
Of course. They say when you reach to 21, you consider to be an OG.
You're a walking phenomenon. You're a walking phenomenon.
Well, as for myself, I can say this. My father had died at a very, very young age. I have no recollection of my biological father. He died very young. But one thing my mother did, and when I came up, it was a different community. There were many men in our community who played the role. We really did have that village. Now, it was dysfunctional. I'm not going to try to make it something other than what it was. In many ways, it was dysfunctional. There was the gangs. There was the heroin epidemic then. And later, many years later, when I was grown or a young man, it was succeeded by the crack epidemic. But in my time, it was the heroin epidemic. So we had some dysfunctions, but there was always men that taught you how to change tires, taught you how to defend your home, taught you how to open the door for ladies and the elders. They taught you, and so it was always that the community, men in the community, who took the place in the absence of a biological father. They took the place, and so that has been my experiences. Then I had an uncle whom I went to live with, and he was like a god to us. He was like the man of men, and everyone looked up to. And he taught us our history. He taught us who we were as a people, and I don't see that so much today as I did back then. But every time he came over from the Air Force, he came on furlough. We looked for Uncle Todd to come back, and he would inevitably always tell us who we were, our history, prepare us for adulthood. So that's been my experience growing into manhood. Not to mention all of the pitfalls I had, and I bumped my head so many times that I've had to become a man the hard way as well. So the lessons that they taught were reinforced by the consequences I experienced through not listening.
Got you. And thank you. We give thanks to your feedback. Again, if anybody wants to join in, the call-in numbers are 215-634-8065. Again, 215-634-8065. And toll-free 1-866-361-0900. I believe Storytelling Irma would love to chime in. I see you go on and off mute like you're ready to jump in like double dutch, like you can't wait to take your turn. So I definitely want you as this is the first time in our show that we will have a divine feminine energy source as an OG give us direction. So please, by all means, let us know.
In my personal experience, I grew up, I'm the oldest of 9 children, and we had both parents. And just like Brother Nathaniel said, it was a different time. And the village did help to raise children. You always could count on aunts and uncles. Storytelling was a big part of it, too. I got a lot of understanding from my elders. But I'd like to give a shout out for, I see many young women struggling with 2, 3 children, and there's not a father figure there, there's not a man. I have to give credit to those women who do raise their children. It's harder because they have to find the right, they don't need, it's hard just to hook up with somebody and they're not the right father figure for your child. You have to really be discerning and to know who can be that figure. Don't let everybody come in and talk to your child because it's not like it used to be. And there are organizations, like I have been in a rites of passage organization for young girls, and we follow them until they're into womanhood. They need a lot of support, and there is support out here, but it's hard to find, and it's very hard raising a child without a man. We can teach them a lot of things, and we can know a lot of things, but we don't have that male energy to give them. You know, I have a grandson who is 8 now, and every 2 weeks I get to have some input because he stays with his father 2 weeks, and he stays with his mother for 2 weeks. So he's getting the best of 2 worlds, and I'm kind of like being there to kind of like be the grandmother that kind of put that input in, and to get that input from that young man. And I think you have to do things creative to make it work, because let's face it, sometimes there's not male energy around because men are incarcerated, or they're getting shot, or something's going on. So young women have to, or women who are raising children, have to find those role models, find that support wherever they can, and make sure that it's a positive support. Okay? So just put yourself in.
All right. We appreciate your 2 cents. Again, please take notes. We have our OGs. For the first time, we got OGs here on the line rather than just Brother Shamar. So please, we appreciate y'all taking notes. But we do have a caller on the line. Brother Dwayne from Southwest is back on the line. Please holler at us, brother. Let us know how you want to speak your piece today. What's up?
Yeah.
Brother Dwayne? All right, well, moving right along, Brother Dwayne. We tried this twice, and we'll try it again. So if you feel up to it and you're able, give us a call back, Brother Dwayne from Southwest. Call us at 215-634-8065 or toll free 866-361-0900, and get your question from Brother Oba. Get your question. And that goes out not just to Brother Dwayne, but also to all of you listeners and viewers out there. If you want to call in and chime in on the topics we're discussing, and we also have Storytelling Irma and Brother Casil Huggins on the line, so we'll be willing to take your questions and entertain your comments. And Brother Oba, we're at the time when we call the Sunday school session, the Sunday school. So that's I believe that's our open dialogue, and you had entertained, you have raised a topic, and just remind me one more time what that topic was.
Okay, so it's basically the similar discussion of how we're moving right now. It's just basically how do we, repair that family structure, and how did, from the perspective of the elders that came before us, the OGs, how did they see it being repaired? I know you said about the dysfunction, but how did you see brothers and sisters repair that as male guidelines? And then also from the divine feminine side, how did the women decide how they're going to raise their children, or find different solutions to raising their children without males? Because I believe that there's always, well, not always, but I do believe that there are resources to find eligible males, whether not even just for to be a family person where you join family and you make another a family member, but just a mentor, or as Brother Shamar would say, a jegna, to just check in on the family every now and then. If you really put your mind and heart and soul to it and ask what, I believe that person will be delivered. But I do want to let my brother Casil get a couple more seconds in, because I know he's been on the line for a while. Brother Casil, before we do transition to Sunday school, go ahead and speak your piece, brother, about some solutions that you feel your parents taught you, and that when you're out in the field that you see as well.
I will say, I'm definitely open to always story time from my elders. You learn so much just from their own experiences, so it may not even be just answers, so to speak, but in their stories there's wisdom and little gems. Yes. With how to apply that to now. But one thing talking to my elders or OGs, so to speak, one thing that is missing now that the elders had then is a sense of peoplehood. So that gives people, a sense of wanting to be wanting to be here or wanting to do this, you know, appreciation, and not so much as something back, but a sense of responsibility, like hold their self accountable for what they have here. You know, this is important to me. I play a huge part in this. And I want to be here because there's something here that has to grow. You know, so that's something that's missing too, a sense of peoplehood, you know, and a sense of pride in people. A lot of people don't want to prescribe to this type of thing, you know, and it's not so much of a liking, you know, this is a duty. we have to be one in order to move together, you know, so it can't be here or there or maybe so, that's yes, you know, or no. So a sense of peoplehood, you know, pride and accountability, so this type of things.
And Brother Casil, I think you hit close to home as to my experiences, and this is close to my heart because I remember back in the day where people weren't afraid when I was younger and I was coming up. Come here, young man, let me pull your coat or something. Come here, let me tell you something. And they will begin to school you. And I don't see that so much. It's almost like, you know, and I was a big burly guy at the time, you know, and I wasn't the little guy I am now. But they weren't afraid to talk to me, you know, because they related to me. And they didn't try, like today I see a lot of, it's a new school of thought that where as you try to be like the youth, to reach the youth. But if you're like me, why do I need to change? If you're trying to be like me, then I'm all right. So don't come to me trying to talk about difference while you're trying to be the same. But the elders back then, they recognized who they were and where they were, and they didn't try to be otherwise. And that's why I respected them, because youth understand a genuineness. They understand integrity. So if I'm wearing my pants down trying to reach you, and I'm 40 years old, that's not going to work. I understand you're not it. So when you talk about me coming up, the youth coming up, and the elders playing that role in a sense of peoplehood, they really cared so much. I could come around, and when I say me, the guys my age as well, and they would put up their cigarettes or their beer or whatever and send us away. Be like, look, y'all go on, you know. But today you smoke in front of the kids. You drink in front of the kids. And so they learn all of the negative. It's not that the elders then didn't do it. They just had respect enough to keep us from following those footsteps. Brother Casil, you want to say something?
And one thing I forgot to add, because I didn't know you was going to come with that. Another piece is that the youth, I'm still a youth, but you know, I'm definitely around very enlightened people. So, but one thing I know the youth gets confused is fear and respect. Back then, in your time, respect, you know, it may have been, but respect is more of like a integrity type thing. You know, nowadays to get respect, they feel as though you have to inflict fear on somebody, and then vice versa, where that gets confused. That's not how. You won't get nothing done if people fear you. You'll get a million things done if, you know, you have the people's respect. And I think that's something that's confused. Fear and respect between the old G and the young G, where the kind of communication might get disrupted, or even the message might never reach one or the other. That's the one piece I wanted to add.
And so, I'm sorry. No, Brother Oba, please go ahead.
I was just going to ask you, Brother Nathaniel, to his point is, you know, we saw that from your generation. This is why, you know, having OGs on the forum is so important, so we can get answers and the clarity to these questions. So you saw that, you know, your generation had that respect. So then what got lost from the transfer? That's what we're trying to figure out. What got lost from the transfer to the next generation? You know, what happened to where your generation to our generation or to the next generation, what happened in that transfer where things may have fallen off? You know, we're not here to blame anybody at all. We just want to, but what were the conditions that were put in place to where the respect and the admiration that y'all had then transferred to the next generation? What got lost in translation is our question, so that way we can figure out how to best solve that when we pass it on to the next generation.
I believe, in my personal opinion, I believe there was a cultural shift. There was a paradigm shift. I believe, and there is always this assault on the African community. And the way to get us is through culture. We used to talk, when we saw each other, we weren't the N-word and the N's and hoes. We were brothers. You actually called each other blood. Hey, what's up, blood? Hey, what's up, sis? Hey, what's up, brother? And you met each other with a pound, a hug, or something. That wasn't just in church. That was how we greeted each other in the community on a regular thing. But culturally, things began to shift. There was a paradigm shift, and we began becoming something other than ourselves. We were always under attack. The music began to change. Remember, it went from look at hip hop. You had groups like Public Enemy. Well, it wasn't going to be long before people say these are people who, through their music, which our culture has always been the conduit of our socialization. So it wasn't long to realize that once they start teaching, once they start using spoken word as change agents, that the enemies, the oppressors, were going to attack it. And so they supplemented that with another culture. They got other elements from among our own and contaminated it. And so and that's just one example. But throughout, I think pervasive throughout our communities, there was a cultural shift, and that contamination of our culture was, I think, it was instigated by outside forces. I can't prove it, but that's my personal belief. And you see it in the movies, you see it in the music. Brother Shamari always said, and I will always remember, it's never just about entertainment. So you can see, and we began acting because your culture affects how you behave. And so I believe our culture got contaminated from without, perpetuated from within, and it began to change how we live within our communities.
That's love. Sister Irma, double dutching in and out again. I know you're to speak, so I definitely want to give you the time to speak. But thank you, Brother Nathaniel, for telling us from your perspective what you think happened from the divine masculine side, from the Queen. What do you think happened from that translation?
Well, I agree with Brother Nathaniel, and I'm a generation older than he is, so I can look at two generations and see how they really changed. I mean, the music in my day had a love message to it. It was about revolution. It was in the 60s, and it was about doing something. Now I see in two generations, we wanted our children to have everything that we didn't have. And so we have another group of people, another set of culture where they've got their college degrees and they've gotten good jobs or whatever, and they think that they have arrived. They didn't have people teaching them, or they didn't even see the struggles that their parents went through or their grandparents. It wasn't told to them. They thought that it was, it's like it is now. That's the old-timey stuff. I don't want to hear nothing about civil rights. I don't want to hear nothing about Stokely Carmichael. I don't want to know anything about that. They think that this is where they have arrived. And I guess I shouldn't say this, but it's on my mind. They stop being who they are, and they try to be more like the other culture. And you see a lot more interracial couples these days than you used to see, So some of our culture is getting diluted, mixed. I'm trying to be nice. We're not ourselves anymore, and we lose part of our culture, and that's a big thing. When we lose part of our culture, it's part of our mind. It's part of our strength. It's part of who we are. And I'm thinking that we have, in two generations, really changed, and our culture has really been watered down and changed. Our values are much different than they used to be.
That's very powerful, and that's a great point. To your point, we do have Brother Rashid on the line from West Philly, so I will get to you, Queen Irma, when we come back to Brother Rashid. To your point, I will respond to that. I'm sure Brother Cecile will want to as well. But Brother Rashid from West Philly, holler at us.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm agreeing with the gentleman that just spoke on and the sister that spoke on the idea that we lost our culture. But I wanted to ask you, do you two brothers, do you use the 7 principles?
The 7 principles of Kwanzaa, or the 7
Yes. Do you live by those 7 principles?
So actually on my phone, the background of my phone is the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and I again try those principles every day.
Well, those ideas are the things that we need some rules, some ideas to live by. And the principles gives us something to work forward to give us a community that, if all of us get out of the 7 principles, no matter what religion that you're in, we could be stronger. And then the other thing is, we need to relate to the principles, to the idea that Malcolm X spoke, Dr. King spoke, Kwame Ture, bring those heroes to the forefront. Because the young people are not hearing our ancestors. We don't have to go back to the 1800s. We need this generation that was just before us. Because what inspired us was those brothers' speeches that we heard in the 60s. And that's where we are now. And we have to live off those brothers. Don't skip that generation. Because that generation inspired where we are now.
Ashe. Thank you, Brother Rashid, for your comments, because you did raise a good point. And that goes back to what Brother Joseph was saying in Massachusetts, is that it doesn't matter, what you spiritually believe in your religion. It really comes down to principles. And that is a solution right there that you gave us. Thank you, OG. And OG doesn't stand for gangster, it stands for guardian. So thank you for being a guardian to us as young G's and giving us some solutions, the principles that we have to stand on. My father was a principal. So the principles that we have to stand on, those guide us no matter what religion you are, no matter, what your trade is, those things we can all love and keep inside of our hearts, regardless of the religion that we look up to. So thank you so much.
But the only way, let me say this here, the only way young people are going to know that they exist is on these radio stations that we constantly bring them up. And we constantly use them all the time. We have to make that part of our daily activities. There's no way that we're going to be popular under those principles waiting for Kwanzaa. We need that every day, every night, every morning. We need to be getting those principles so we can live by. But we got some laws in the community and rules.
Brother Rashid, let me, to add to your point, long before we knew and were taught formally the principles of Kwanzaa, we had parents and elders in our community who taught us those principles. Now, they weren't called the principles of Kwanzaa, but they taught us those the elements of them. And they would tell us how to act in the community. I was talking about my uncle when he came. He would always throw us up and bite us on the cheek like that was his little thing. And when he came back from furlough from the Air Force, and tell us who we were. But he would also instruct us as to how to behave and how we are responsible for the community and our role in the community. But we do have a break coming up. But I just wanted to say that we did transfer them down, and somehow that got lost. And so we have a break coming up, but after this break, we'll continue with Brother Oba Sankofa and myself, Nathaniel Lee, here on Groundings with Brother Shamari.
Comcast is committing $1 billion to reach 50 million low-income Americans with the tools and resources they need to succeed in a digital world. Learn more at comcast.com/education.
This Word Wellness Vignette is brought to you by Keystone First. Word Radio presents the following wellness tip to support our listeners with mindfulness
and motivation.
This is Helana, your resident expert health and wellness coach, with tips to help you stay well. Today, we're going to talk about the importance of finding a new way to be social. So, we now live in a world where socialization has changed significantly, and we have to be creative on how we maintain and grow our social networks. Health and wellness also means having a healthy social life. Many of us get so wrapped up in work responsibilities that we forget to connect with our loved ones and friends. Finding a new way to be social can look like this. Schedule a weekly check-in with your extended family via telephone or even video chat. Number 2, write letters to your friends and start a new pen pal group. Take it old school. Number 3, use technology for you. Create a group chat for your close friends where you can share highlights and funny moments throughout the day. Finding a new way to be social is something we can all do to support our overall health, personally and in our communities. Go ahead and try it today. Stay well with WURD. Happy, healthy living.
Stay well with WURD. Connect with us at wordradio.com. This WURD Wellness Vignette was brought to you by Keystone First. For more information, visit KeystoneFirstPA.com.
So, what's the asking price on this house?
You'd probably be more comfortable living somewhere else.
How long a lease is the landlord looking for?
Well, I'm sure you can afford to live here, but...
What are the schools like in this district?
Yeah, we have twins in the 5th grade.
This neighborhood isn't really for your kids. You know what I mean?
If you're Black, Latino, Asian American, or Middle Eastern, and a real estate agent or rental agent says anything like this, you know what it means. You're being discriminated against. Housing discrimination because of race, color, or national origin is against the law. If you believe you've experienced housing discrimination, contact HUD. Go to HUD.gov/fair housing. That's HUD.gov/fair housing. Fair housing. The law is on your side. A message from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development in partnership with the National Fair Housing Alliance.
Groundings
with Brother Shamari
right now on WURD Radio
and WURDradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings with Brother Shamari, and I am Nathaniel Lee. I'm filling in for Brother Shamari, but I'm not filling in for Brother Shamari by myself. I have some backup, and I have Brother Obas and Kofa with me, and we're together. We're both guest hosting for Brother Shamari while Brother Shamari is out there handling his community business, serving our community, doing what he does best. So Brother Shamari, we're holding it down for you. Don't worry, man. Handle your business. And so we were just talking about the role of elders, and actually we were talking about somehow it segued into the role of men in our communities and how our culture was sort of diverged from its original path. We kind of lost our place as African people in our communities. And I just wanted to say this. We were talking about really solutions. We were talking about what we can do. The original question was, what is it on us? How much of what's going on is on us? And I want to suggest a possible change, something that we can all do. And I mentioned my Uncle Ty when he came from, we were all so proud of him. We thought he was like the man of men, and so did the other men in the community. I mean, we were from down the bottom in West Philadelphia, and the men, even the brothers, this man had so much respect. But he took on children that weren't his own, me. I would go over, I was a very troubled youth, and he worked with me. And one thing Uncle Ty always did, and I give him his props, and I do it to this day. It took me a long time. I had to learn the hard way. He did his best. I had to learn the hard way because I had a lot of trauma. But one thing he did was he kept teaching us who we were. He kept telling us our history. And one thing he did was he instilled a pride in us. And in other cultures, you are taught how to be a man. As a child, you are taught for your role, your eventual role as a man in the community. You are taught your eventual role as a husband in that community. And other cultures, you are taught how to be a woman in that community, how to fill the role of a mother in that community. We don't have that here. And what people like Uncle Ty did, people like our elders in the communities, or some people are called the old heads in the community back in the day. I don't use that term, but for those who, of that lingo, you know what I'm talking about. What they did, they fulfilled that role, they filled that gap, and they created that village around us that protected us, because the oppressor was aiming for our minds and our hearts, and they were winning, but they were the shields that protected us. And so one of the things we can do is we can reform that shield. Somewhere we know children, we know youth, we know people who we have influence over. Stop trying to be like the youth. That's I can't tell you how corny that is. That is so corny for if Muhammad Ali said a man who's still doing at 50 what he did at 25 wasted 25 years of his life. Come on. They know we all be who you are, but be authentic and share what you know. Share your knowledge and your experiences. And so since we're talking about how much is on us, that's on us, people. That's not on our government. That's not on the politicians. That's not on the oppressor. That's not on the media. That's on us to do. So that's my little spiel right there, Brother Oba. Stop me from talking, please.
Oh, no. Like I said, we just the substitute teachers for Brother Shamar today, and I think everybody is grateful that they're in class today in Sunday school, because you are giving and delivering those powerful messages. So I definitely appreciate you. I know I've spoken a lot, so I want to let Casil go ahead and touch on that, and also Casil touch on those solutions that he said about the principles, and he said about how, that's missing. The men, the statehood, the shield is missing. And I do want to, before I do let you go, so I do want to say that I don't feel like the shield is totally gone. I feel like brothers like ourselves, Brother Nate, Casil, and myself, and Brother Shamari still have the shield up. It may not be as many brothers, as it needs to be. But, if the shield, if we were not in existence, then who knows what the condition of our people would be in. So, we do have some of the shield. Look, we just need to bring more brothers onto the fold. But go ahead, Brother Casil, rap to the people.
Yeah, I do want to touch in on that. Why, the man is definitely important in the household, as well as the female, because they work hand in hand, So the man obviously is the warrior, but then he's also the protector of the woman, who's the nurturer of the house, the family, and the babies, the children. And that goes hand in hand. So the importance of the man, also to teach the young men the role that, like you said, the role that they will have and that they're able to grow into. They understand that, they value that. That's a whole nother person when somebody values something. When they value something, there's a whole different energy being put into that. So that has to be bred, that has to be nurtured from the male as well as the female. But again, everything works in unison. And like you said in the beginning, that is what was disrupted. So that, you want to say, the hamster wheel, if you will, of that was totally disrupted. That's just how it's supposed to be. The baby girl's up on the grandmother, the mother, the aunts, and everything. She soaks up all the womanhood, all the femininity that she needs as she grows, as well as the young man with the uncles and brothers and the fathers and grandfathers to soak up that masculine energy, because he's going to have to give that. That's going to be needed from him once he hits that mark to become that man of the household, or of his own household, or even the village. So it's everybody, every piece in this puzzle is very, very important. None is less than, none is greater than, but yes, it starts home, and it definitely starts with morals and a solid foundation.
Storyteller Irma, I do want you to quickly comment in on, we do need both.
Yes, we do.
The reason why I believe we do need both is so that way the woman can show the young son, how a woman is supposed to treat a man. And then also how the father shows the daughter or the son how to treat a woman. So can you comment on how crucial that also is, and from your perspective, how crucial that is for us to continue to gain our liberation?
Yeah, I was just thinking that we need to in order to, like, as far as solutions, I have not real big solutions, but little things that we can do is when I see a young brother on the street, whatever he's doing, if he has his son or his daughters with him, I go up and encourage them. We as women need to encourage our men and be behind them. Don't always be putting the brother down. Say, oh, I like what you're doing, you know. I'm glad to see you with your children. I like to see that fatherhood. Encourage them, because you don't know if they get any encouragement from the community or from the mother or from whatever. But always encourage our young men. You know, if they look nice, say, brother, I like the outfit you have on today. Just give them a little bit of positive now. Push them up, don't push them down. You know, these are our men. As mothers, we have to be warrior women. We have to raise warrior sons so that they know to protect the community. And that means we can't, you know, when say a 19, 20-year-old, we have to show them some tough love. You know, don't baby them and say, oh, I'll do this for you, I'll do that for you. We as mothers want to do that, but we shouldn't do that. We have to let the warriors be the warriors, let the men be the men, you know? And the last thing is, well, next to the last thing, we got to feed the children. You know, as a mother and a grandmother, you know, that's showing love. One of the things that we've always done together as a race is to break bread together. And that's very important. You know, that's a time when you get information that is love, that's showing love. You know, my house is always the house where you come to the back door. You got any more of that soup, Miss Irwin? You make any more in the wintertime, you know, give it to anybody at the back door. Or what's this you're making? You know, I've never had this before. So, you know, that's something that we need to do. We got to show the love in the community. We've been distracted by video games. Grown men playing video games all day, all night, whatever. You know, there should be one time. And I look at the video games and make sure that the young people aren't getting into the really violent things, because sometimes they say some stuff on there that is not for children. And I have to tell my grandson, you can cut that off right now. There should be a non-video day, you know, where you just talk or read books. Don't get on that device. You don't want to, just one day, take that out and let the children read, because our children can't read anymore, and that's important. Let them read, let them talk, tell them a story. Do something other than that video game, because that video game sometimes teaches the wrong thing, you know. Don't let the video game compete with the real person. So that's my take on that.
We certainly appreciate that again.
Love it.
And this has been phenomenal to have two OGs on our show. Again, G does not stand for gangster. It stands for we are just grateful, another G, that these guardians have come on to our segment, I guess elongated segment.
Yeah.
and throwing around, you know, their principles and their solutions. And, you know, the greatest thing about having this together is that solutions come about with just dialogue. And Storyteller Irma, you definitely gave me an idea that I'll keep on the hush for now until I put it into full fruition. But I definitely have some ideas about breaking bread that we can use to unify our moving on forward. So thank you so much for that. Brother Nate, I know we're getting close, you know, back to our closeout, but I did want to turn it back over to you. To see if you had any final thoughts that you want to share with the people out there. If you wanted to climb in, the line to call is 215-634-8065. That's 215-634-8065, or toll free 1-866-361-0900. Thank you to all of our callers that did call in and chime in. We appreciate every single one of you that got on the line.
And also, we have in studio at this time the David Barnes, and he usually does a crosstalk with Brother Shamari. And before we get to Storyteller Irma, because we have another story coming out of Eustis. We got another story. Yeah. So before we get to her in our, we do have a break coming up, but I wanted to speak to David Barnes real quick for our crosstalk. Brother David, are you there?
Yes, sir, Nathaniel. How you doing today, man?
I am well. It's been a while since I've seen you.
I know, man. You still shooting?
Well, I don't shoot. I just write.
Oh, you just write. Okay.
Yeah, I took my own pictures with my little digital camera. I'd be remiss if I called myself a photographer.
Okay. Well, you're a good writer.
Well, thank you. I don't know about good, but all right.
All right. So, listen, we have a wonderful program lined up for tonight. You know, I'm sorry to see that Shamari's not here tonight. Shamari's not here. Brother Rashid's not here. I'm acting like I ain't here. No, I'm not. I'm here. But anyhow, we have a wonderful program lined up for tonight. We have Janina Carter calling all the way in from Atlanta, Georgia, calling with several guests tonight. And we have a special guest calling in from Ghana, West Africa tonight as well. So I encourage everyone to tune in to the New World View, 8 until 11 p.m. And the 10 o'clock hour, we have our Afrobeat after party with Patrick and Jadu. So we're going to have a wonderful time. I encourage everyone to stay tuned. Don't touch that dial. Stay around for a while.
And you know, I've had the pleasure of being on your show a few times. It's been a long time.
It is. You got to come back, man, because I've been listening to you on Shamari's show, and I'm getting jealous.
Look, where do you think I get it from, man? I'm copying off of you.
All right, okay. It's good to see you, though, man. Filling in. You're doing a good job, too, man.
I really appreciate that, brother. Coming from you, that is an honor, and I mean that with all of my heart.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, you know, I learned from the brothers. You know, I watch you do what you do. I absorb it because no matter what, I'm a perpetual student. And that's what I do. I try to learn, and I learn from you guys. So thank you.
All right.
So that's David Barnes. You heard it, David. David, just say one more time your name of your show and the time.
That's right. New World View, 8 till 11 p.m. with the 10 o'clock Afrobeat after party.
You don't want to miss that, listeners and watchers. Those of you watching on WURD Radio TV, you do not want to miss that. So, brother Oba, look, we have a couple of minutes before break. But I wanted to say this. We're going to, after the break, well, we're at the break, but I just wanted to say thank you, Brother Oba. But when we come back, we're going to get the storytelling Irma, and we'll be right back after this message.
AARP is working to protect Americans 50 plus by making sure you have the latest information about the COVID-19 vaccines and the distribution plans in Pennsylvania. Just visit aarp.org/PA vaccine to learn who's eligible for the COVID-19 vaccine, when, where, and how to get it in Philadelphia and the rest of the Commonwealth, and what you might want to discuss with your doctor. That's aarp.org/PA vaccine.
WURD Founders Day. Don't miss our annual Founders Day live broadcast and celebration, Thursday, August 26th, honoring the life and legacy of our founder, Walter P. Lomax Jr., MD, featuring a very special broadcast of a ceremonial street naming for Dr. Lomax from 11 a.m. till 1 p.m. at 1800 Wharton Street, the site of his first medical center. Hosted by Charles Ellison. The day will also include a series of virtual panels and conversations exploring health, wealth, and independent media. Start or renew your Forward membership on Founders Day at the special discounted rate of just $80. For more information about WURD Founders Day, visit WURDradio.com. WURD Radio Founders Day is brought to you by Pico, Keystone First, Bank of America, Ready Set Philly, Comcast, Brown's Family ShopRite, Temple University, and Councilmember Kenyatta Johnson, 2nd District.
Thinking about retirement? Make sure a My Social Security account is a part of your plan. A My Social Security account gives you secure access to your personal earnings history and benefit status. You can find out if you're eligible to receive benefits, compare retirement benefit estimates at different ages or dates, view spousal benefit estimates, and more. Plan for your future. Open a My Social Security account at ssa.gov/myaccount. Social Security, securing today and tomorrow.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Groundings with Brother Shamari right now on WURD Radio and WURDradio.com.
And welcome back to Groundings with Brother Shamari, and I am Nathaniel Lee, and I am co-hosting this show with Oba Sankofa, and we're sitting in for Brother Shamari, who's out there handling his business for the community. And just before we were going, I was telling Brother Oba what an honor it was to co-host this program with him. It was a pleasure, and we have to do it again, brother. But I'm just informed that we have another caller on the line, and so I'm going to call it. I'm going to cut that short, and then we're going to get with Storytelling Irma, and we're going to take, I believe it's Cecilia. Cecilia, are you on the line?
Yes, Celia. Very good program. But what I want to say is, how do we dialogue for ourselves as men? I don't think the problem is for the grandparents. I think the problem is the generation before the grandparents, because grandparents have done their offspring. And we think about enrichment, and we talk about chronicling and diarying. But do we say that to the male? As a male, chronicle what you've done as a father of father age. Let's say, for instance, 26 to 54, how it related to you as a man with the children. And chronicle just what you did for your family and your children, and then we'll find out where the problem one of the major problems may lay. We tell women to chronicle, to journal, to see where they can ask for forgiveness. It's always on the woman. But men have a responsibility too. Do we send them in the direction where they may have to ask for forgiveness, where they may have to go back and tutelage their children to say what's happening, all the things we want women to do? We still need the man as a strong partner. And does anyone ever point that out, that maybe these problems are because men aren't told to be accountable and sympathetic way to themselves, or in an enrichment way to themselves, so that they can chronicle their achievements with their children, or their work with their children, or it ain't grandmom's job to raise them, let alone grandmom's job to raise them and send them to college as a first generation. That age group of fatherhood between 26 and by 54, your offspring is grown. What accountability as fathers do they have?
And I agree with you there. And for the sake of time, because we have a few minutes left in the segment, but and I'm sorry to interrupt. I think you raised some very valid points, but I would add this to that. Yes, the men do have a responsibility. Matter of fact, a lot of the responsibility and the burdens, when I read about it, and it is important to chronicle it. I'm a journalist. I began just writing our stories, telling our stories, because until we write our own stories, the oppressor will tell us who we are through those stories. So that's why I got into this game, and that's why I continue to do it. We need to tell our stories, not just from the past history, but present history, and to the future, and to the history that will be our future. I agree with that. And the second thing I would say is, yes, you're right. The grandparents have a role. In other words, do your part. If you're a man, do your part. If you're a grandparent, do your part. If you're a mother, do your part. We all have a role. If you're a child, children are not without roles. They are not without responsibilities. They have a part to play. You have a part to play. So according to your talents, according to your means, according to your abilities, according to your status, I would say just do your part. And with that, look, I am already stepping on Storyteller Irma's time by a couple of minutes. So we're going to segue right to Storytelling Irma. Give us another story, our griot friend. You're on mute.
You're on mute, man.
I'm not going to go back to the whole Marcus Garvey story, but because of what we've been talking about, I like to tell a story about change, and I will end up with talking about this why. I haven't told the story for a long while, but it just came to mind while we were talking. You know, some people get into roles and you expect them to stay into that same role forever, or some roles are good and some roles are not. But once there was a dog. He was a dirty dog. The whole community was so mad at this dog. The woman would come out and put the clothes on the line. Here come that dirty dog, tearing off the clothes off the clothesline, knocking over trash cans, making a mess, walking down the street barking and scaring the children, doing his business all over the place. And people would just throw things at him, and he would go, why are you doing that to me? All that they would call me, you dirty dog, just get out of our neighborhood, just get away from here. Well, this was a long time ago, and the dog got kind of distressed. He said, I don't want to be a dirty dog all my life. I want to change my name. And so he said that he was going to go to what he thought was the creator. Well, I guess it was. And he went and walked to this high place and, you know, and he talked to the creator. He said, I want my name changed. I don't like being a dirty dog. The creator told him, well, you have to do a test if you want to get your name changed. And, you know, I can do the name change for you, but you have to pass my test. So the dog said, okay. So the test was this. There was a big spit that was rotating around, and it had this big piece of meat on it, you know. Maybe it was beef, maybe it was pork, I don't know, because I'm not into the meat. But the meat was smelling good. And the creator said, you got to watch this meat, and I'm not going to be watching you. I'm going to go far away, and when I come back, I expect the meat to be done, and I expect you to keep an eye on it. So the dog sat there and he was wagging his tail and he was looking at this meat and it was going round and round and the smell was getting to him. Smells so good, oh, smells so good. And he was going around and round and round, and the dog got a little bit closer, He said, ooh. And he looked around, he says, ooh. In his mind, he said, I'll take just a lick, because that juice is dripping down, and if I just lick a little bit of that juice. So he went over close and he licked up some of that juice and wagged his tail some more, and he was, you know, he was good. Well, the meat got, that taste got to him. He tasted, you know, on his tongue, and she got a little bit closer to what was tempting him. Took a bite out of it. Oh, that was so good. He said, you won't miss that much. You won't miss that much. It's just a little piece. And he backed up and he says, it's not going to hurt anything. It's not going to hurt anything. And so the creator came back and he said, how did you make out? So the creator looked and he said, a piece of the meat is missing. I'm going to give you the same as always name. Your name is, and the dog thought it was a name, it's a 5-syllable thing, just the same as always. That's your name, just the same as always. And you can go back down now. So he went on back down, and people looked at him, and they didn't see anything new. They didn't see any change. So they called him just the same as always, this dirty dog. So if you don't change your ways, you're going to be just the same as always. You're going to be a dirty dog, like that dirty dog. So what we have to do as a people is to change our ways. We have to go back to the principles of using Kwanzaa, create our own new rituals, break bread together, and do things that are right. Now, just to turn back to this flag again, because I'm so proud that I got it from the UNIA. It was a fundraiser, and I want to read to you what it says about the red, black, and green. This flag was developed in 1920, and it's the flag of our people, and we should wear it proud and use it at occasions. Let people know that we are a people, we are a nation. with pride, because with that pride, with that flag comes pride. And it goes like this. Red, black, and green. What does it mean? It stands for love and pride that black folks have inside, and we do. The color red stands for the blood that was shed for freedom and justice. Many bled. Black stands for the color of our skin, the yellow, the brown. We are all kin. Green stands for the fertile land passed down from our ancestors' hand. And we have to keep that in mind as we have the red, black, and green. And we have to keep our pride and make our changes. That's all I have for you right now. Next week I'll be back and we'll be talking more about Black August. So keep painting your August black. Thank you.
Thank you. I really appreciate your stories for the day, and I hope everyone out there who are listening, look, there's one thing about our stories that our griots tell, and they all have meaning for life. And our stories are not only entertainment, but they're instructions. And if you listen to them, they are the manuals which will help guide us and show us what to do and how to conduct ourselves in difficult times. I am Nathaniel Lee. I am with Brother Oba Sankofa, and we are guest hosting for Brother Shamari, and you are listening to Groundings with Brother Shamari, who is out handling his business in the community as he always do. And we were blessed to have heard the storytellings of Storytelling Irma. And we also have Brother Casil Huggins, who are with us. So in these last minutes prior to us concluding this program and going to the next, I just wanted to thank you all, Brother Casil Huggins, Storytelling Irma, and of course, Brother Oba Sankofa. I think we make a heck of a team. Thank you all so very much. And I just want us to continue thinking, and I'm talking to us as well as our listeners and our viewers out there. We have a lot of issues in our community. How much of it, the resolution of it, is on us? And I say all of it. The problems came from without. The answers must come from within. Brother Oba, anything? Final remarks?
Yes. As always, we do want to say where you can reach us. I got a lot of flack from Shamari last time on how to reach us, so I'll just simply say just one way to contact me instead of 5. 267-281-8941. If you want to get in touch with me and what we do, 267-281-8941. And then also, as customary, before we sign out, is our shout out. I have to shout out Brother Kyle and everybody part of the Eco Foundation and the Eco Center at 5411 Market Street. Come through Monday through Saturday. And also shout out Jordan Booth holding us down today, producer behind the scenes.
Thank you all, and that's it for this week's Groundings with Brother Shamari. I am Nathaniel Lee. You can find me on Facebook at Nathaniel Lee. You can find me on Instagram at Nate Lee Writes. That's Nate Lee Writes. And so that concludes our show. Thank you, Casil. Thank you, Oba. And thank you, Storytelling Irma.
You can find me at Quilty. I'm a part of Keepers of the Culture. Keepers of the Culture Inc.org. And if you want to be a storyteller, see what we're doing, you just tune into that. Thank you.
Will do. Thank you. And we'll take it away with our wonderful producer. Thank you, Brother Casil.
You can contact me through my email, casil.huggins@gmail.com. That's kasil.huggins@gmail.com.
All right, that's everybody. I don't think we missed anybody. And Brother Shamari out there, I know you're probably listening to us somewhere, Brother Shamari. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We're gonna have to do this again. And Brother Oba, look, what we gonna do, man? We doing that show together? Or what? We doing that talk show?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm ready.
All right, thank you for tuning in to Groundings with Brother Shamari, and peace out.
Peace.